Let's explore one of the most persistent myths about the human brain, starting with a Hollywood blockbuster that brought it to life. In the 2014 film Lucy, a mysterious drug called CPH4 unlocks superhuman powers like telepathy and telekinesis. The movie builds on the idea that we normally use just 10% of our brain, while 100% remains locked away. But what does neuroscience actually tell us about brain activity and energy use? Functional MRI tracks the bold response, changes in oxygenated blood flow, to create detailed images of brain activity over time. Task fMRI captures brain responses during cognitive tests, while resting state fMRI records activity when participants simply lie still. Even at rest, the brain, just 2% of body weight, consumes a staggering 20% of our total energy. Focused mental tasks only increase this already high baseline by about 2.5%, showing the brain never truly idles. PT imaging takes this further by directly measuring how much glucose the brain burns. A radioactive tracer called FDG crosses into brain cells, revealing their glucose metabolism in real time. Studies show that the visual, dorsal attention, frontoparietal, cingulo-opercular, and default mode networks all demand high energy. Regions handling complex thinking consistently use more fuel than basic sensory motor areas. For the brain to work properly, it must maintain homeostatic equilibrium. Too little or too much energy disrupts function. Some believe we eventually use 100% of our brain over a day, but only 10% fires at once. Brain activation maps emerge from comparing task conditions, running statistical tests on each voxel, and correcting for errors. Traditional univariate methods test voxels one by one, while multivariate pattern analysis uses machine learning on entire populations for better sensitivity. Experimental design, statistical approach, participant groups, and imaging type all shape activation results, making any fixed 10% claim scientifically baseless. So where did this myth actually come from? In 1907, philosopher William James wrote that we are only half awake, using just a small part of our mental and physical resources. He described second wind, pushing past fatigue to tap hidden reserves of energy we didn't know we had. Writer Lowell Thomas misquoted James in 1937, falsely claiming he said we use only 10% of our brain, and this error spread through 30 million copies of Carnegie's bestseller. Modern science sensationalism has kept the myth alive, as seen in a 2007 case that made headlines worldwide. MRI scans revealed massive enlargement of the brain's ventricles, a very thin cortical layer, and a posterior cyst. The images show enlarged lateral, third, and fourth ventricles compressing the surrounding brain tissue against the skull. Cerebrospinal fluid had accumulated due to poor drainage, squeezing the cortex inward. Media outlets claimed a French man lived normally despite damaging 90% of his brain, suggesting consciousness needs only 10%. This misrepresentation falsely implied missing neurons and that minimal brain tissue sustains awareness, distorting the actual medical condition. Another source of confusion involves the ratio of glial support cells to neurons in the brain. Old estimates suggested glia made up 90% of brain cells and neurons just 10%, creating a misleading 10-to-1 ratio. Modern techniques reveal a more balanced picture, with glia around 40% and neurons closer to 65%. Pop culture continues to reinforce the myth through films that dramatize unlocking hidden brain power. Both Lucy and Limitless depict characters gaining extraordinary abilities by accessing untapped mental capacity through drugs. In Limitless, the fictional pill NZT-48 transforms struggling writer Eddie overnight, dramatically boosting his cognitive abilities. Real cognitive enhancers, or nootropics, do exist, but they work very differently from Hollywood's version. Nootropics are used by patient groups with conditions like Alzheimer's and schizophrenia, and increasingly by healthy young adults. 1 in 3 students has tried them. In scientific terms, even energy drinks and caffeine tablets count as nootropics, meaning they're already everywhere. Your morning coffee won't unlock telepathy anytime soon, so until then, please continue to make use of your brain, all of it.